More than 3/4 of residents in Greater Manchester who live in high-rise buildings are concerned over the cladding on their blocks. Now, a survey of high-rise residents in Greater Manchester, which has been released today, shows that 65% of people are worried about having a fire in their home, and that only 12% of residents say that there's been a removal or replacement of cladding on their building over the last 18 months. Now, Ben Griffiths lives in a high-rise in Greater Manchester, and Andy Burnham is the elected mayor for Greater Manchester, and they both join me this morning. First of all, on the line, Andy Burnham, you're very welcome. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Connor.
Good to have you involved. And Ben Griffiths joins me as well. Ben, first of all, your building hasn't had cladding removed at all?
No, unfortunately not. Well, unfortunately, we don't really know what the situation is for us at the minute. We've had a report that's meant to have been coming out since October of last year, and we're just stuck in this funny limbo where we don't know whether our building is safe or not.
Okay, Andy, do you know anything about this? I suppose from a political standpoint, you're not party political as much at the moment as a mayor, but do you know what the situation is with this and what we've been promised?
Well, I think that the limbo that Ben describes is shared by many people, because they're in buildings where the government hasn't agreed to pay for the removal of the cladding, and they're just stuck as the building owners, well, ignore the issue or try and make the residents pay. And at a national level, it just seems that many people in Ben's position are invisible to the government, because they don't act on the situation. So, from a political level, Paul Dennett, the City Mayor of Salford, and I are organising a national lobby of Parliament on Tuesday. We don't think it's acceptable for Ben to be left in the position he's in, and thousands of others like him. Change is needed. The budget is the moment to sort this out, and that's why we're all going down to Westminster.
We'll talk about the budget in a second. I want to talk about how this affects Ben. You know, you're going into the place that you call your home, your safe space, right? And you want to try and have a home, have a family, have a group of people around you. It can't be good for your sort of your well-being and your mental health, knowing that if something happens, we could have another Grenfell situation.
Yeah, it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. I mean, I'll echo what Andy has just said then. It's only the government that can sort this. And when you feel that the government aren't listening to you and you're stuck in this limbo again, it's just causing undue stress, depression and anxiety to thousands of people across the UK that bought their home thinking that this can be a place where you can go back, you can chill out and you can relax, when you're sat in this ticking time bomb looking at things like happened in Salford only the other night, where a fire broke out, and you're thinking, could that happen to me?
Yeah. Can I ask where you are? Whereabouts you live?
I live in Green Quarter in Manchester.
Okay. And your fellow residents, have they echoed the things you're talking about just now?
Yeah, so there's plenty of people across Manchester, and there's plenty of people in the Green Quarter that are in this situation of the limbo of not knowing where we are. We're being told potentially 18 months to get this report back, and it's a case of fire waits for no one. Can this not be sorted faster?
I don't know what your I suppose dealings with Rishi Sunak have been, Andy, the new Chancellor in the past, or whether you have confidence this potentially could be part of the budget. But in this national lobby, what are you going to be putting forward to people like him?
Well, I have met Rishi, Connor. He came to Manchester last year, just after the new Prime Minister was put into office. So, and he's approachable. He's a kind of a decent person. So I'm hoping he will listen to what Ben is saying and do the right thing. And Ben's right. It's only the government that can do this. It's probably regulatory failures at the end of the day that led to so many buildings being built like this. So therefore the government has culpability, and I'm not saying politically, because it probably happened under the previous Labour government as well. The same regulations were passed in that era. So it's just for the UK government to step in, come to an agreement with the building industry and the property industry, and sort it out between themselves, but just get this cladding off as soon as possible to give people peace of mind. And that's what they haven't got at the moment. It's not just the fire in Salford. Ben's right to raise that, because there was cladding involved in that one. But remember the Cube fire in Bolton. I mean, everyone will remember seeing those images on that Friday night and thinking, oh my goodness, is this another Grenfell? I mean, we're gambling here with people's safety, and it just simply isn't right.
Ben, have you seen the entire survey which was carried out of high-rise residents in Greater Manchester? Have you read the entire thing?
I haven't seen the full thing, no.
Right, but we don't have the full thing in front of us here. Just interested to see both your views on this here. 65% of people are worried about having a fire in their home. 12% of residents saying that there has not been a removal or replacement of cladding from both your perspectives. It's very rare I'm on the radio. We've got 3 people in the building all kind of agreeing with the same thing. It is time to act, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, there is no time like the present. And this holding it out, we don't know what they're holding out for exactly. I mean, the floods, things are happening there, and it's horrendous what we're seeing there. But the government are acting right away on this. And we're just sat there in our buildings, not feeling safe, not being able to sleep, and at risk of losing our financial stability.
Yeah.
And the costs are just mounting up for us.
That's the next term I was going to make, and next view I was going to bring specifically to Andy. Andy, from a mayoral perspective, the survey also highlights that rent is going up, yet nothing is happening. Is there anything you can do there in your office?
Well, that's right. It's service charges, isn't it, that are going up, because sometimes people are paying for changes to their buildings, or what's called a waking watch, where people are keeping sort of guard through the night to check there's no outbreak of fire. But I was at a meeting of our high-rise task force where some of the people were talking about the effect of these charges on their finances and their standard of living. I mean, it's just impossible for them to deal with it. We don't have the money, obviously, Connor, to pay for that. We just don't. It's only the UK government that can help with this, and that's why the appeal is being made to them. And I just would encourage everybody to, if they can, to attend the lobby of Parliament on Tuesday, 1 p.m. Westminster. Everybody welcome, and let's in a positive way get the message over that this needs to be sorted out.
Ben, what would you like to see happen?
I would really like to, as Andy has said already, get the government to fix this. They're the only people who can, and they could either provide a fund, as they've done with ACM cladding, but of course there's plenty of other dangerous cladding materials out there, or they can legislate and get the developers or the investors or the people who made the money in the good times to pay for this recladding and the fire safety issues. Let
me bring both of you this from the Housing, Communities and Local Government. The Ministry for Housing, the Communities and Local Government has said this. The government has committed 600 million in total to remediating buildings with unsafe ACM cladding in social and private sectors. The government has committed to fully fund the removal and replacement of unsafe ACM cladding on private sector residential high-rise buildings. The government intervention is wholly exceptional due to the unparalleled fire risk ACM poses. Building safety is the responsibility of the building owner, and they must remedy any safety risks uncovered. Building owners should consider all routes and meet costs and protect leaseholders, for example, through warranties and recovering costs from contractors for incorrect or poor work. Is that, to a degree, Andy, do you think that statement is fine and just, or are they passing the buck?
It's nowhere near good enough, Connor, because they're talking about ACM cladding, and yes, fine, that needed to be removed. That was the Grenfell cladding. But look at the fire at the Cube. That wasn't ACM. That was something called high pressure laminate. And there's all different types of cladding. So it's typical government, really, in some ways. They just do the thing that's the least that they have to do. But I'm afraid that goes nowhere near dealing with the scale of this issue. And don't forget, the building that caught fire in Bolton, the Cube, that wasn't even classed as high-rise. That was below the level of high-rise. So I think there's thousands more buildings affected here, and the government just doesn't want to wake up to the scale of this because of what it involves. But they have to. You can't leave people in a situation where their mental health is deteriorating. And they're living in fear every day. It's wrong. They need to sort it. Okay,
listen, Andy, thank you very much for coming on this morning. Really appreciate your time. That is Mayor,
you're welcome.
Mayor Andy Burnham joining me, and also Ben Griffiths, living in a high-rise building in Greater Manchester.
Thanks, Connor.
For the next, I suppose, for the next couple of days before this national lobby takes place, I'm sure you're going to be there as well. What would you say to the people in and around your building, or anyone who's listening at the moment who's dealing with this, and how to deal with it from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there's a massive impact on mental health here, and the Manchester Cladiators are a group set up to lobby against or for the remediation of the cladding and fire safety issues. If you need any help, search at MCR Cladiators on Twitter. We're finding help from people like Manchester Mind, who've been brilliant, and we've got plenty of people here who are council people and MPs who are helping us as well. And it's just a good way to talk to each other and find out that you're not the only person in this situation.
And whoever come up with the name, well done. And a beautiful pun. I love a good pun.
The guys do well there.
Search for the Cladiators. Ben Griffiths and, as I said, Andy Burnham, thank you very much for joining me this morning.